Hello everybody, Sky Marshal here, bringing you a quick summary of the events that happened in 1937. And some interesting events and some not so interesting events. But let's just start in no particular order. Let's just start in South America. Not a lot has gone on in South America. In fact, it's been pretty darn neutral. In fact, the most excitement South America has got has been the task force markers I put here for the various fleets. And you can see here in the Mediterranean, or just off the Mediterranean, in Sea Zone A44, we have the massing of 2 British fleets and a French fleet, Force Z and Force G. And what I've done here is I've organized them in a diagonal setup so that you can instantly see down here which units are where. And we got the Eagle, the Norfolk, the Ajax, and the Scourge. And comprising Force G, we got the King George V battleship. Sculpts I brought out here, orange representing fast battleships, or just even battleships in this game, plus several of its smaller support ships. And then the French, their flagship is the Marseille, supported by their destroyers there. So a very strong Allied presence. I think it's the strongest Allied presence anywhere on the map, in fact. And obviously it's very important to the Allies because you can see those 3 convoys that are junctioning in that sea zone. The Americans, well, the Americans have their ships proudly on display. Actually, fun fact here, we have the lovely, oh, which ones are they? One second here. The Farragut class destroyers there. I made up 8 of them, but yeah, they're really cool. I put a little bit of detail into them. So now the Americans have a good destroyer squadron. But anyways, I digress. That's kind of what comprises the American fleet on the eastern seaboard. Moving across the Atlantic into Spain, what has happened right now is, well, the Republicans are on the run. They've fled to their last main territory in eastern Andalusia down here. We were lucky enough to get a recruitment role, and the Allies, the British namely, upgraded one of our militia to infantry to try to give the nationalists a bloody nose before they inevitably engulf the rest of Spain and give the Axis powers their first victory point. Russia didn't spend a lot of money this turn in Spain. Where they did spend their money, and hopefully it's well warranted, is down here in Ethiopia. And what we see here, we see 2 anti-aircraft guns, 4 mountain and 4 militia. Enough to make the Italians take pause. So much, in fact, I think they were scared of the Russian-made anti-aircraft guns, that they were, the Regia Aeronautica was in Eritrea, and they flew back to Tobruk up here in the north. So consequently, leaving no air support here for Eritrea and Italia's Somaliland. So we'll see what happens here in the coming turns. The Ethiopians may, in fact, try to go on the offensive, and maybe that's what the Italians want. But we'll have to wait and see. But Russia has committed 1 mountain and 2 anti-aircraft so far this game. So hopefully the Allies will remember that in their pursuit to thwarting the expansion of Mussolini's new Roman Empire. Over here, some little lovely features here. We got the Nelson, the Furious, the Dorchester, and the Tuscan in the Far East Command deployment. And then further north, we have a mixture of Far East Command and Mediterranean ships as they mix in the Red Sea right here. Now, the Italians have moved their fleet from around the Horn of Africa here on up into the Mediterranean. So in Sea Zone M8, just off the coast of Alexandria, the flagship Giuseppe Garibaldi, a light cruiser, and her 2 supporting destroyers lay in wait to see what possibly may come for them. And in turn, they have 3 coastal subs in support in Sea Zone M4. And further north, we have the capital ship, the pride of the Regia Marina, the Littorio, the Zara, and some support vessels, and a new transport that they recently commissioned as well. Obviously, they have plans of moving some troops around here. Over here, the French have put all 4 of her fleet submarines, the Redoutable, the Vengeur, the Acheron, and the Pascal, to show a strength of force against German U-boat in the Mediterranean. Plus, the Admiral Graf Spee is on trial runs down there. She's the new battle cruiser of the German fleet, pocket battleship, so we'll see how she does in the Mediterranean. Good luck to her in her convoy hunting. The Isaac Pearl, still 1 ship left for the Navy. We lost our fleet. They were scuttled here in Western Andalusia and did not end up in the hands of the Spanish nationalists, thankfully. Down here, just little key features right here. We got some Arab raiders just in Sahara. I don't know if anybody has noticed that so far. A little bit of fun right there. Further north, we have the French task force, the Gola and the Le Fantastique, possibly removing some French infantry, possibly going back to the homeland. Further eastward, actually, before we do that, the South Africans down here have been spitting out a lot of infantry. Actually, the Graf Zeppelins down here too are in Cape Town. But we have 1 South African infantry, as well as 2 more up here in Lower Egypt. They're supporting Cairo along with their British counterparts. Then over here, we have a combined fleet of Far East Command, the Australian destroyer Arunta, and the Kiwi light cruiser, the Achilles, here bringing troops to Western Australia, possibly over here to reinforce certain holdings of the British Empire. Calcutta is being slowly reinforced, as well as Hong Kong and indeed Singapore, and that's what they've been focusing on here with the Far East Command. The Australians did do a strategic naval movement and brought over an artillery here to defend Calcutta, and all in all, yeah, not too much is going on here. You see the Kiwis are relaxing in New Zealand. Same with the Aussies down here in Sydney. Now, one interesting point of fact here. A Japanese fleet has been sighted moving south. She comprises of the battleship Musashi, the battlecruiser Haruna, 3 destroyers, and a transport. And where they are going? Well, they're in the coastal waters here. Off Palau, where the Japanese reports have come out that apparently they're building a naval facility down there. Where will they go and what will they do? Well, we got to keep an eye on it because they got some Marines there. Interesting deployment. Will they go south, east, move in to the Dutch? We'll see what the Dutch have to say about that with their naval air presence there as well. Up in the north here, we have the Kiwi transport, the Manawa and the Serapis on maneuvers, as well as the McDonough destroyer and transport here off the coast of the Philippines. Not much has happened in China. I'll zoom in down here and just see the CCP have slowly started to build up their forces, and the KMT did move a lot of their forces back from the coast into the mountains. However, the last turn, Hambone has decided to put 3 militia in those territories to say, hey, you can't take them anymore. If you don't want them, then we're going to defend them. And, of course, the Japanese commissioned a brand new carrier last turn, and that carrier is the new Kaga, and she's in the eastern Japanese Sea there, along with the Yamato and the Mogami, and right here, Task Force 11, the Akagi, the Shoho, light cruiser Nagara, and another support vessel, torpedo boat destroyer. So the Japanese, since they built that new carrier, the Americans do get a bonus over here, and of $1. Further north, the Japanese retreated off Manchuria, and the Russians here just keeping their pace from there, waiting to see what the Japanese do. They recalled a lot of their planes back to Korea and also onto the carrier decks, possibly waiting for an amphibious operation as they slowly start to build up and reheat. The CCP have not had very good luck on their influence rolls, or the recruitment rolls for that matter. So we'll have to wait and see what happens down the road with them. While we're down here, we're just going to briefly take a look at possibly what we're going to do next turn. We might be lend-leasing an anti-aircraft gun. We might be lend-leasing, an artillery, maybe even a mountain. We're toying with the facts of what we might do next turn. We'll see. Might build an artillery. None of this is for sure until Jinx gets his first turn out. We might change some stuff around, but yeah, we'll see what happens on that front. Over here, up in the north, the British in home waters on the eastern approaches here, or the western approaches, I should say. Force K and Force H, comprising of the Prince of Wales and battlecruiser Repulse, and their support vessels here. Slowly keeping an eye on that German transport and the Condor torpedo boat destroyer. Strange reports have shown U-boat activity heading further south, down here in A28, which caused the the French battleships Richelieu and Gascon to go into port, possibly because of what menace they represent, especially not having any destroyers there. U5 has turned around and actually has gone back to monitor the eastern part of Britain, and some support vessels here still lie in wait, defending the homeland. Up here in the north, we have the Friedrich Eckhold, a lone German destroyer, unknown what it's doing up here. But we do have our first vessel coming out of the Arctic pass, and it's the SHCH-138 Russian fleet submarine from maneuvers from the Pacific heading back to Leningrad to refit. And here in Leningrad, we have several ships. We have the Svetlana, our capital ship, as well as our submarines just off the coast here in Leningrad. We have slowly built up the first army here in Leningrad, comprising of 3 infantry. And our German colleagues, the Hindenburg, is on tour heading to Moscow for no doubt what should be a fun affair. Smolensk and Kiev have slowly been building up their strength with fighters and tanks and armored units, securing those cities for their own safety. But further south, we have a buildup in Transcaucasia, Turkmenistan, and of course in the Far East, keeping an eye on the events at large throughout the world. All in all, though, I think this is a brief summary of what's been developing here, though, however. Some things that have not happened. Bohemia and Slovakia have not been annexed yet. Austria has, but the Germans have not annexed these territories, which is most interesting. And there's a lot of speculation on why they have not done that. But anyways, guys, I figured I'd just give you this quick overview of what's been going on in the game so far. And hopefully you'll like these. I'm going to try to do these every 2 turns. So every year, just do a brief update so you guys can see what's going on, where everything is, and where everything is going. Okay, guys, take care. This is Sky Marshall in the Lion's Den, wishing you all a wonderful weekend. Cheers.